You bought the raised bed kit, the bagged soil, the seed packets with the glossy photo on front. The tomatoes still split. The slugs still won. The beans still came in thin. Somewhere along the way, gardening became something you purchase instead of something you learn. My mother Ruth grew a half-acre garden on a south-facing slope with no tractor. Just a push plow and her own back. 200 jars every fall. She did not read a bag to know what her soil needed. She read the ash bucket, the eggshells, the moon, and 30 years of watching what worked on that particular hillside. My name is Gideon Adkins, born outside Harlan, Kentucky. 10 gardening hacks that came out of these mountains, some backed now by university research, some still argued about, all of them free or close to it. What works, what the science says, and what to try this season. Number 10. Planting by the signs. 2 layers to it. The moon's phase. Waxing favors what grows above ground. Waning favors roots, the dark of the moon best for weeding and pest work. And the zodiac sign the moon sits in that day, split into fruitful and barren. The Foxfire books gave an entire volume to this practice. A researcher at Berea College built a full study around it called Sown in the Stars. Here is the honest part. No study has ever shown the moon changes how a plant grows. Extension offices call it folklore. But it has a use anyway. It forces you to watch your garden on a schedule instead of whenever you remember to. Ruth kept an almanac by the back door every spring. I do not know if the moon changed anything. I know she never missed a window. Number 9. The 3 sisters. Corn, beans, and squash grown together in one mound instead of separate rows. The Cherokee practiced this throughout these mountains for over 1,000 years before anyone else arrived. Corn goes in first. Once it reaches 6 to 8 inches, beans and squash follow around it. The corn stalk becomes a living trellis for the climbing beans. The beans fix nitrogen into the soil through their roots, feeding the corn. The squash spreads broad leaves across the ground, shading out weeds and holding moisture. Eaten together, the 3 form a complete protein. Corn is missing what beans supply. Cherokee farmers here favored a regional squash, likely an ancestor of today's candy roaster. Long storage, frost tolerant. Better flavor the longer it cures. Ruth's garden always grew the 3 together. She called it how they grow. Number 8. Potatoes under straw instead of soil. Lay the seed potatoes right on top of loosened ground. No trench, no digging. Cover with 4 to 8 inches of straw, watered down so it packs instead of blowing off. As the plants grow, add more straw, leaving just the newest inch or 2 showing. A food security program out of Knott County, Kentucky, tested this after growers kept describing it independently. Harvest by pulling the straw back with your hands. No digging at either end. A rain simulation trial found straw mulch cut soil erosion by more than 97% on an 8% sloped field. That matters on ground like this. One honest caveat. Straw holds moisture, which can bring slugs in a wet year, and it will not stop potato beetles. Those still need picking by hand. Number 7. Wood ash. Every mountain household made it all winter without trying. Nobody had to grow it or buy it. It came out of the stove for free. Ash carries potassium, calcium, and magnesium. It is alkaline and raises soil pH the way lime does. You just need roughly twice as much of it. A ring of ash around the base of a plant deters slugs and snails. It dries out their soft bodies, and its gritty texture is abrasive to them. A 2020 study found ash from oak, beech, fir, and spruce killed slugs at a high rate. Ash from hornbeam and chestnut did not. The wood matters. Mixed lightly around tomatoes, it adds calcium and helps with blossom end rot. One caution: it washes away in rain. And keep it off blueberries and anything acid-loving. Ruth never let a winter's ash go to waste come spring. Number 6. Hillside terracing. Nothing on this property is flat. Most Appalachian ground is not. Terracing answers that directly, cutting a slope into level steps, one of the oldest anti-erosion techniques in cultivation. Each tier slows water running downhill. Rain gets time to soak into the root zone instead of stripping topsoil, seed, and fertilizer off the slope in one storm. 2 ways to build it. Cut into the hillside and level a bed, held by a retaining wall of fieldstone or stacked rough-cut timber, both sitting free on any wooded mountain property. Or build a raised frame with staggered legs that compensates for the slope without touching the hill at all. Keep beds around 4 feet wide so you can reach the center from either side. Steeper ground needs more, narrower tiers. Every bed here has had to answer to the slope first. Number 5. Eggshells and coffee grounds. Nothing in that kitchen went in the trash if it could go back in the ground. Eggshells are roughly 95% calcium carbonate. Same compound as agricultural lime, calcium. Deficiency is what causes blossom end rot in tomatoes and peppers, so crushed shell worked into the soil addresses it directly. Crushed, not powdered. The sharp edges work like diatomaceous earth, an abrasive barrier that discourages slugs and snails from crossing. Coffee grounds carry nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, worked into soil around nitrogen-hungry plants or into the compost pile. Slightly acidic, though the effect is mild. Earthworms are drawn to it. Rinse and dry the shells before crushing so they do not attract pests, and crush them fine so they break down faster. Ruth kept a can by the door for both before either one went anywhere else. Number 4. Appalachian Heirloom Seed Saving. Bill Best, a retired professor at Berea College, has personally collected more than 1,500 distinct heirloom bean varieties through the Sustainable Mountain Agriculture Center. Greasy grits, rattlesnake, case knife, the candy roaster squash, likely of Cherokee origin. Seed swaps still happen across Kentucky counties. Growers trading and selling heirloom seed, passing along growing knowledge with it. The reasoning is simple. Corporate agriculture selects for a small number of varieties that ship well and resist disease, often losing flavor and genetic diversity along the way. Heirloom savers select for taste and what actually grows well on their particular hillside, generation after generation. A related practice: leather breeches, whole green beans strung on twine and air-dried, pod and all, then soaked and cooked months later. Ruth's seed tin held varieties I have never found in a single catalog. Number 3. Soap and human hair as deer deterrents. Strongly scented bar soap or bags of human hair hung around the garden perimeter. Deer rely on scent to detect danger. An unfamiliar, human-associated odor reads as a threat. A Cornell University field study found tallow-based soap significantly reduced deer browsing on sweet corn plots over 126 days. Tallow-based soap outperformed the non-tallow kind. Adding perfume did not help at all. Here is the honest part. The protection radius from one bar is small, roughly 3 feet. Rain washes the scent out, so it needs reapplying every 4 to 6 weeks. Deer under real food pressure will ignore it entirely, and they can get used to it over time if you never move it. A bar of soap on a string costs less than a fence post. It has bought this garden more seasons than it has lost. Number 2. Marigolds and nasturtiums. Marigold roots release compounds called thiophenies that are toxic to root knot nematodes, a soil pest that damages roots and stunts growth. The effect is strongest when marigolds have been in the bed at least 2 months before the crop you are protecting goes in. The scent also turns away whiteflies and squash bugs when planted near tomatoes and squash. An Iowa State study found marigolds grown alongside zucchini showed real resistance to cucumber beetle damage. Nasturtiums work differently. They are a trap crop. Aphids go for them instead of your vegetables, and they draw in the beneficial insects that hunt garden pests. One caveat. For cabbage and broccoli specifically, thyme, nasturtium, and onion outperform marigolds. Marigolds have lined the edge of this garden every summer for as long as I can remember. I never asked why. I know now. Number 1. Contour planting. Rows planted along the slope's contour lines instead of running straight up and down the hill. Each row becomes a small dam. It catches rainwater and holds it in place instead of letting it channel straight downhill, carrying your topsoil with it. This is usually combined with terracing for the strongest erosion control. It is the same principle underneath every hillside garden that has survived 100 years of Appalachian rainfall. The rule is simple enough to draw in the dirt with a stick, and precise enough to decide whether your garden keeps its soil or loses it in one storm. Every row on this hillside runs level to the slope, not down it. Nobody taught me this as a rule. I learned it the one season I planted straight down the hill and watched half my seed wash into the creek. None of these 10 hacks came out of a lab. They came from people working slopes too steep for a tractor, with no money for bagged fertilizer, and no patience for a method that did not work twice in a row. Some of what is on this list has been confirmed by universities now. The erosion numbers on straw mulch, the nematode research on marigolds, the deer trial at Cornell. Some of it, like the signs, has never been proven and probably never will be. Both kinds earned their place in these gardens the same way. Tested against a real hillside, one season at a time, for longer than anyone alive can remember. Tell me in the comments which of these 10 you have tried. What worked, what did not, what your grandmother did instead. I read everyone and see you in the next video.